guys, welcome back to Strong Successful Male. So for today, I'm going to go over an email that was sent from a subscriber. As from a guy, he is 31 years old, and he shares his story how recently he broke up with his girlfriend of 4 years after finding out some unflattering and not so good details about her at a funeral of all places. And now he's wondering, did he go too far breaking up with her? Because to no surprise, he's getting all sorts of angry texts and messages and emails from her family, the friends and all that. And I'm very going to go over here, guys, just to show you that if you have good reason to break up with your girl, or if you're one of my 4% of the girls out there that watch me break up with your guy, it doesn't make a difference if nobody else is happy about that. You got to do what's best for you. Life is short, and if somebody doesn't work for you or you find something out, that's it. You can break up with them, and don't feel bad about it, because life is short and you don't need that in your life. And I might add, by watching my material, you guys have definitely over time become much more of an insight about human nature that a lot of people, most people, do not have. So I'm going to go through his story here, and you guys can hear it and comment away if you think he's the villain in this story for finding out about what she did and ending the relationship with her. He says, "Hello SSM. I recently broke up with my girlfriend of nearly 4 years. We're both 31 years old. She's from the West Coast and I'm from the Midwest. And we met through mutual friends from work. We live in a large city closer to where she grew up. The problem began over this summer. My girlfriend, we will call her Anne, learned that her ex-boyfriend has suddenly passed away. We just started living together and I came home to her sobbing quietly in the bathroom. In her grief, she must have noticed me walk in, because she suddenly wiped the tears and put on a happy face. I asked her what was wrong, and she replied, "Oh, it's nothing." Again, I asked if she was all right and let her know she could tell me. So she finally said an old friend of hers passed away. I gave her a big hug and told her that I was there for her. Okay, you're a good boyfriend, you know? In the morning, I woke to Anne making breakfast. It's not out of the ordinary, but not her usual morning routine either. Normally she gets up after I do, because her shift begins later. But I didn't think anything of it. I figure she couldn't sleep. However, I did notice she was in better spirits. As we were eating, she tells me she was going to the wake and funeral. She says he was such a great guy. I sat up and I said, "He? Don't get me wrong, I think it's perfectly fine to attend the funeral of someone you once knew, but I found it odd I'd never heard of this he before." I asked exactly who he was. She paused for a moment and then admitted that his name was Paul, and he was a guy she had dated in the past. This was news to me. Yeah, you're like, Paul? Who's Paul? I thought you told me about all the guys that were your boyfriends. And notice he said the word that she said dated. Key word here, because guys, there's dating and then there's someone you're in a relationship with, and you're going to find out it's more than dating. Already the trickle truth here. There was an awkward silence after that. Honestly, I didn't know what else to say. I think she must have sensed the tension and asked me, "Are you all right with me going?" I just nodded in agreement, not looking up, and then I said, "Do you want me to go with you?" I looked up to see a strange expression on her face. So I repeated again, "Would you like me to go with you?" She hesitated for a moment and then answered, "Sure, that would be nice." In other words, no, she does not want you to go. But that's her way. You can tell when, well, most people can tell when a woman says something because they are enthusiastically wanting you to do something with them or whatever. And when they don't know what this, they don't want to say no, but they're saying it in a way like, "Okay," that type of thing. That was it. So one would question, why is she hesitating and having you go? Well, we're about to find out. So on the day of the funeral, we arrive around 5 p.m. It's a 6-hour drive, so I'm beat. Whoa, that's a long haul for a funeral. But you're a good boyfriend going with her, and it's a good thing you did. So we enter the funeral home, and the woman at the door immediately recognizes Anne. They hug and exchange pleasantries, but I noticed the wall facing us is adorned with pictures of the guy, Paul, with friends and family. As I look through them, I notice Anne is in several photos. Her in a lot of photos. That's a lot for a guy she just, dated back in the day, and, you never heard about. So we walk in, and more people come and greet Anne, catching up on the old times. Also, people shake my hand and ask if Paul and I were friends. I politely let them know I didn't even know him, except through my girlfriend. Despite everything, it was all very pleasant. Then we get seated with the program. There's a slideshow of Paul's life from when he was an infant until his passing, and several high school photos. Anne is with him. In fact, they went to senior prom together. After that, many people shared their stories about Paul. All in all, he seemed like a decent guy. Well, it's a shame a young guy died so early, but back to all these pictures. Slideshows, pictures of Anne going to the prom. A prom is a very big deal for most girls. So you'd think you would have heard about who she went to the prom with. Probably saw the old prom picture. Shit, if you saw my old prom picture, you guys would laugh your ass off. I had long hair back then, yeah. Long hair, I had 2 hoop earrings. Got my first tattoo not long before that. Yeah, I look totally fucking different. The thing that got me, how much my girlfriend was crying. She was really sobbing at times, and I didn't know exactly how to react. I actually felt a little jealous and also guilty, even though the guy and he was no longer with us. But each time they showed a slide of Paul with my girlfriend, she broke down. Thankfully, it was a closed-casted event, because I'm sure Anne would have lost it further. Needless to say, I was extremely uncomfortable and confused. So, if this was a situation, guys, I'm going to interrupt here, but I got to comment about this. If this was a situation where this is an ex, and it ended on terms like, irreconcilable differences, like one person wants to live in one part of the country, another part wants to live in another part, or one person wants to have kids, the other one doesn't, and you ended it because of that. Okay, I can see her being upset, and crying and all that, and going, I might add, to pay her respects if there was no big problems going on. But something's not right. And again, the fact that this guy's been with her for 4 years, I'm sure marriage is in the mind of both of them, and now he's finding out about this and how she's reacting. There's a reason she doesn't tell him. Later, I was introduced to Paul's immediate family. They thanked me for coming and also learned that he had a sister and a brother, both who were younger than him. Same as before, they thought I knew Paul personally until I explained who I was. Then they looked at me funny. Well, I later found out why. While Anne was catching up with old acquaintances, I wandered about until I noticed Paul's sister talking with some people. She was visibly upset about something. I didn't intend to eavesdrop, but was close enough to hear they were talking about my girlfriend, and it wasn't in a good light. You're like, wait a second here. All these pictures of her and Paul, the slideshow, the prom, everybody saying hi to her, but why does his sister have a problem with her? It says here, they were saying she, meaning Anne, had the nerve to show up. This aroused my suspicion, so when I got the chance, I talked to Paul's sister. It started off as small talk, and then I confess I overheard her say something about Anne. Paul's sister bluntly told me, look, I got nothing against you, but Anne cheated on my brother and broke his heart. Uh-oh. Now we know why you never heard about Paul, because if you talked about Paul, then naturally this guy would say, well, what happened with Paul? And then she'd be forced to either tell you she cheated on him, which would make you run for the hills, hopefully, or she'd have to lie about it. So she conveniently left Paul out on purpose. And your girlfriend's a big cheater. Now, some people may say, wait a second here. Wait a second. Maybe the sister's making it up. Yeah, I don't think so. For that, her brother dumped her and never wanted to see her again, so she shouldn't have come. I know some of my family are all right with it, but I am not. So good for Paul for breaking up with her and that she was a big cheater. He says, man, was I ever confused after that. First of all, I knew Anne had ex-boyfriends. She mentioned a few, but she never told me about Paul and the extent of the relationship, how they dated in high school, and then later while she was in college and also beyond college. Then apparently she cheated on him and he left her. So where did that put me? Was I the backup plan? I couldn't shake that feeling, especially after she was bawling her eyes out. I mean, maybe it's possible that she really felt bad about it. Maybe. How it ended, all that. It's something that she cared about. That maybe she looks back and she knows she screwed up royally. Who knows? But But the point is, she deliberately didn't tell you. Now we all know why. And she's a cheater. Maybe she would never ever do it again after how bad she hurt him. Who knows? But the point is, these are two giant red flags. Major red flags. But we're not done yet. If there's a chance for her to redeem herself, she's about to have it. Now, I want you guys to think about this. Do you think she redeems herself? You guys can place your bets, and then we'll see in a moment. So later that night, while we were at the hotel, I took the opportunity to confront Anne about a few things. I asked whether she still loved Paul after they had broken up. She said no, but I could tell it was forced. Then I asked her if she ever cheated on him. That's when she tried to gaslight Paul, a dead guy. Basically, she said Paul and her had mutual understanding, and they could see other people, but vowed to get back together. Later, she found someone special, and it upset Paul so much, he called off the relationship. I call bullshit on that one. That's not the story he heard from the sister, and I'm sure the sister had it right. So there's any chance to redeem herself saying, yeah, we were in a relationship, and I cheated on him in college. We were apart, and I it was terrible, and I shouldn't have done that, and blah, 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 and I'm so sorry. I'm not the same person anymore. If she would have done that, maybe we'd have a different outcome here. But no, she lied to this guy's face and gaslit a dead guy. That goes to show her true character. In her version of events, it was Paul who drove her away. Oh my God. However, this didn't coincide with what I had learned. According to his sister, Paul had loved Anne deeply, but college drove them apart. Later they reconnected, but Paul found out that Anne was monkey branching. It broke his heart and he left her. Anne tried to get him back for months until she realized it was pointless. I told her all this and she denied all of it. She got so upset she was going to go confront Paul's sister, but I told her to be respectful. The sister has no reason to lie. You know? None. This guy's girlfriend here, Anne, she had the opportunity to come clean. Nope. Take the easy way out. The next day we attended Paul's funeral without incident and then drove back home. It was a quiet drive with not much to talk about. Then as the days went on, I began to question our relationship. I knew I asked her how she really felt about me. She would just lie, so I didn't bother. But deep down inside, I was done. Yeah. Clearly you watched this channel. Clearly you've learned some things. Watched you was a cheater. Trickle truth. Gaslighting. All that. She had her chance. Lied to you to your face. And not to mention lying by omission. Never brought the whole thing up. Nope. You're learning her true character. The apartment we live in, this was originally her place. Her name was on the lease first, and mine was added later. Smack. Never move in guys to a girl's apartment or turf. Either she comes to your place, or you get a brand new place together. You go on her turf, already she thinks she runs the show. I want to point that out. So I knew all I had to do was tell management, the management company I was leaving, and did not know I planned to leave. After about a week, she was acting as if we were back to normal. But I did not trust her anymore. I began to view our relationship in a brand new light, and it was not good. I concluded I didn't trust Anne, and I felt she really didn't love me. And even if she really did love me, I couldn't bring myself to believe it, so it was a moot point. You saw her true colors. She had a chance, and you don't trust her. You cannot have a relationship without trust. It doesn't work that way. I don't care how great she seemed to be, or she's trying to make up for any mistakes, or how great her ass is, or how great she does this and does that and all these other things. No, it doesn't work without trust. In the end, I didn't ghost her or do anything unreasonable. I simply sat her down and explained that I was no longer in love with her and that we should go our separate ways. The lease agreement was up in a few months and I was willing to pay my share even if I wasn't living there anymore. She broke down crying and asked what she had done wrong. I told her I didn't feel like I could trust her. It was bittersweet. I got what I wanted, but my heart was broken as well. Believe me, it was not as easy as I'm describing it right now. Inside, I was a wreck, but I left for good. Well, you know what, man? I'm glad you admitted that, because you could have easily said, I ditched the bitch. No, you're with her for 4 years. Clearly she was important to you, but this showed you who she was. And what you did is what most guys would not do. I have even more respect for you for doing this because it was that difficult. But I'm telling you, again, if she would have come clean about him and said the reason I didn't tell you is because this was the worst thing I ever did in my life and I felt terrible about it and I'm sorry. But no, she didn't do that at all. She twisted around and make him out to be, the bad guy here. The poor dead guy. Unfortunately, the fallout was swift. I got tons of phone calls and texts, none of which I responded to. Good, bro. Very smart. But this did not stop the voicemails, emails, or social media messages. A few of them were generally supportive, but the majority of them asked whether I was on drugs or had lost my mind. Several of her family members left messages saying I was a fool and not mad enough to handle the situation. There you go, the shaming tactics. Her family members. Goes to show you, not only can you not trust her, and she has her red flags, and she's, shot herself in the foot, but her family are the way they are. You dodged a big one here. Even some of our mutual friends said I was overreacting, but I didn't care about the narrative. I only care about what affects my life, my mental being, and whom I'm around. For me, it was simple. I just don't trust Ann anymore. And I can't in any good faith stay with someone I don't trust. I can't help it. It's just the way it is. And that is the end, guys. It's abrupt, but that's the end. So there you go. And the guy, let's go back to his question from the beginning of the story. Is he the a-hole? Is he a villain? And I say no. He made a very hard decision. She deliberately hid her history with Paul. 4 years together, 31 years old. I'm sure both of them were thinking about a future together. And she could have mentioned the dude she went to the prom with. That's a big deal for a girl. You 4%ers out there, my girls out there, you know what I'm talking about here. Well, most girls, the prom is a big deal. Nothing. Because then she'd have to talk about, the cheating and all that and why they ended. Lying by omission. Then she had the chance to come clean, and she twisted around, made it Paul's fault, and lied to you. You can't be with someone you don't trust, and you can't be with a cheater. So you combine all those things, not to mention a family shaming you. No, you're not the a-hole here. But the thing is, guys, and many of you guys some of you may have experienced this, and many of you will experience it one day. One day, you're going to have to do something for yourself. And most people aren't going to understand it. And you can't let them change your mind. Because most people don't have the insight about human nature that you've gained through your experience and stories you've learned here. So they just aren't going to get it. Or they're selfish and don't care. Ann's family probably was thinking you're going to get married soon. So they're thinking about the wedding. Or maybe her parents are thinking about grandkids one day, but now she's got to start all over again. So their whole little comfort level has been changed. They're not happy about it, so they for selfish reasons, want you to get back together. Or maybe a mutual friends are used to hanging out with both of you all the time, and it kind of messes up everything, their social life, because you're not together anymore. They're thinking of themselves. Guys, you got to do what's best for you. And again, like I said, someone that did those things that she did, no, I don't blame you for not trusting her. So I guarantee you, bro, even though a lot of people around you are saying you made a mistake, you're a fool, blah, blah, blah. If you know that's best for you, that's all that matters. And I can tell you, bro, because you wrote in because you respect me and respect the guys in the community, I 100% say you did the right thing. And I would have told you otherwise if I thought maybe something was that you didn't, And I'm sure all the guys out here will also chime in and let you know you did the right thing too. So, gentlemen, please take a moment, let this guy know he did the right thing. If you don't think you did the right thing, you think you overreacted, okay, that's fine. You tell him. You're allowed to have a voice. That's not what I think, but hey, chime away. And my 4%ers out there, you can let them know too. All right, guys, that's it for today. Like I said, be sure to comment down below. Let this guy know what you think. And be sure to like the video, share it with your friends, and subscribe. I'll catch you next time.